Just watch. Tu bois son dit à tout.
What's going on there, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's our weekly live stream. We talk about news, current events, thought exercises, as well as our movie review. Tonight we'll be continuing our Vengeance Month with another South Korean movie, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. Directed by Park Chan-wook. Yeah. It is still broiling hot in the valley. You couldn't tell by the glint off my forehead. But just a forewarning. It is very hot in my place right now, and my computer is like you can make a grilled cheese on the keyboard. So if it goes down, if the stream goes down, just know that's the reason why. I'm hoping that to remedy the situation soon, but just be forewarned, we might go down out of nowhere.
All right. Well, we'll try to get through that then.
Try to get as much through as much of the stream as possible. And to do that with me as ever is the homeboy Rob.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on, Andy?
Freaking hot! Oh my gosh.
Yes, it is. And I don't know about you, Andy. I don't know what to talk about. I don't think anything has happened in the news this past week at all.
It's been pretty quiet. Of course we're being
it's been pretty quiet, right?
Me and Rob are being facetious because what's that old Chinese curse? Here's to living in interesting times.
Well, we certainly are in interesting times.
Indeed.
But yeah. Well, do you want to just kind of dive right into it?
I mean, because what are our weekends compared to the shit that's going on right now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, let's get into it.
Why don't we start with the easy stuff? The tech outage that I don't know if they've gotten it corrected or if it's still causing some mess ups, but flights have been canceled, delayed. I think there was like certain parts where like emergency services weren't being able to be called. Hospital records were like doctors' records, hospital records were unable to be accessed. And to be honest, it kind of got stuffed under the rug with everything else that's been going on with the election and craziness that we'll get more into details about here in a minute. But what have you heard anything else about it? I forget the company that they were changing up like the code or something like that, and it just messed everything up.
I don't know too much about it. It's not it's not as though they were talking about it much when it happened, but just so also happened to coincide with the Trump assassination attempt, and then now with the recent news of Biden stepping down, and Kamala being made the heir apparent.
Yeah.
The only news I heard about it was recently. I was watching that infotainment show, Inside Edition, and they did like a kind of like they did a human interest piece about this woman who was set out bachelorette weekend off in Miami. I think she's from California, and she was gonna fly out to Miami for a bachelorette party, but the tech outage thing happened, and she lost her flight, and she was essentially stranded at the airport. um, but she was able to, you know, kind of like the the happy ending part was that she was somehow able to rent a car and then drive her and her girlfriend's road trip style to Las Vegas and have her bachelorette party. But that's the only
Jeez, yeah,
thing like I know about. That's the only thing I've heard about the tech outages. Just like travel being like stopping to a grinding halt. Travel.
yeah. It makes me. I don't know if it's just because I no one really knows what's going on, or like, and it's like I said with the news cycle the way it is. I barely heard anything. I heard it mentioned, and I know, like personally, like I had a coworker who ended up having to have his doctor's appointment canceled because it was uh, yeah, they couldn't pull up his record. So they're like, well, sorry, we can't like really have you come in because we can't really we have nothing to pull from, which is who knows? It could, is it just a computer error? Oh, very possible. Is it something that, it's these is it incompetence? Is it something that's more nefarious? Who knows? We just don't know anything about it, but it's just kind of got stuffed under the rug. But I thought it was interesting that um, all this was happening. Like I heard some rumblings on social media and stuff like that, where there was news outlets who put out talking about how in certain areas they couldn't even call into like 911 because of that issue, and so they had alternative numbers that they could call in case of emergency, but it was hard to get people out to where they needed to go. And yeah, it's just like, man, that's what the fuck is going on.
Hmm. Wow.
So I'm hoping that like more comes out about that, and it just as even just like see like, okay, we got it fixed. Well, okay, what was the problem?
Right.
What happened? What did it? Is somebody like? Is it something that someone should be fired over? Was it incompetence? Was it nefarious? What happened?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I saw a little skit on the reels over there on Instagram. A guy he kind of poked fun and made like a little skit talking about like it was a black gentleman and he pretended like he was a janitor and like he worked at Microsoft and like he was like he was the one to like cause the malfunction or whatever in the Windows software. But like it was also Windows or it was also Microsoft who was asking him to fix the problem, and I'm not doing it justice, but it's pretty funny
Okay, yeah.
because they did it again kind of like how I mentioned the Inside Edition. I don't know how many people are aware of it, but it's like it's kind of like one of those infotainment uh, sort of news shows where it does like they do like pieces uh,
Yeah.
and they do, they'll sometimes go and interview the subject in question. And they did that. They interspliced it with footage from Inside Edition with like kind of like voiceovers of like the supposed either like actual Inside Edition reporters voiceovers or just like a self-generated one. But it actually blends pretty well. You actually for a few times I kind of wonder is like is this actually like an actual Inside Edition like news piece or is this like just comedy?
Yeah.
So
Maybe
yeah,
it's a little bit of
I mean
both.
it's gotten we live in such an absurd world. It's really hard to tell the real from the absurd.
This is also very true. Shit that would have been a comedy bit like 10,
Hmm.
12 years ago is now
Right.
become reality, which is, yeah, it's fucking weird.
Absolutely.
But I just wanted to like bring that up just because no one's
Right.
talking about it at all, which is I think a little bit strange to me.
Right. I mean, what is it? It's almost like um, the Pentagon Papers, or the Pentagon accounting, just before the day before 9/11 happened. It came out that the Pentagon was missing like something like on the I don't know if it was trillions or billions, but like three at the very but I remember the number three like billion or $1 trillion. They're missing it, like it was unaccounted for, right? And then the very next day, like the report just came out, like, oh yeah, the Pentagon can't account for 3 billion or $3 trillion. And then the very next day, we have 9/11, and not only are the World Trade Center towers in New York attacked, but the Pentagon is also attacked. And guess where the plane just so happened to strike? The room where they was holding all the
They
records.
can't.
Oh
Oh
darn!
darn!
Yeah. A plane crashed into the Pentagon, probably the most tightly guarded airspace in the nation, was attacked. Yeah,
Yeah.
just so
Oh, just
happened. Yeah,
Jesus,
just
I
so
know, right?
happened. I'm not insinuating anything. I'm just saying that the most tightly restricted airspace in the world was circumvented by a passenger airliner without incident.
Yeah. It.
And it just so happened to
Well,
hit
what?
the section of the building where they're holding all the documents pertaining to the the 3 billion or the $3 trillion, in unaccounted for funds. Wow,
That's wild. It
a
a
little bit
little bit
weird,
weird. The
you know.
wasn't there like also like I don't know how recent this happened, but didn't they accidentally sent another like several $billion over to Ukraine, and it's like, well, we didn't. There was some sort of error that happened. It just happened. We didn't
It's like,
generate that
whoopsies,
payment to
yeah,
them.
just like, oh, whoops, shucks, gee golly whiz.
It's like that's like our money that they just like, whoops, I said sorry. That $62 billion that you guys gave us, to run our country. We just whoopsie, we accidentally gave it to another country. We
Right?
didn't
It's
mean
like,
to do
yeah,
it.
well, then get it back. It's like, oh, whoops, they said no, givesy backsy, so, our hands are tied.
Seriously, I am so tired of both. you know the uh the Democrats I expected from, but like people that are supposedly on our
Mhm.
conservatives who love this country and wanted to do well, yet they are constantly voting yes to give more handouts to Ukraine. I'm like, can we like vote these people out? Like, get rid of them because they're not your friend. They don't have your best interest in mind.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, what's that old expression? With friends like these, who needs enemies?
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if it's like if that kind of coincided around the same time that this tech outage happened. It's like, oh, we'll get right to the bottom of it. Oh, whoops, the computers are
Oh,
down. Oh,
whoops, someone took a
sorry.
shot at Trump. Oh, whoops, Biden stepping down, is not seeking re-election.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's exact
Yeah,
same thing. I mean, yeah, slightly different, of course, but it's the same distraction. It's the same distraction game going on.
yeah. And then you would have probably like any journalist worth his salt would be like, well, this we got to look into this. Like, and your editor's like, no, come on, we got to talk about what's going on with the election. It's too important to not cover. Yeah, but there's this thing where it looks like there's some sort of weird conspiracy cover up that's going on.
Well, I
Ah, don't
mean,
worry
now
about
it's like
it.
a lot of different cover-ups. But it's that, oh yeah, like they essentially halted our ability to travel, and a lot of people. It was almost like just I think around the same time as if I'm remembering correctly, at the same time as a tech outage, there was also a breach of customer information at AT&T.
Mm-hmm. I remember I got a notification on that. It's
Right.
like, what the fuck?
A lot of people's like personal data was breached, and yeah, it's just so weird.
Yeah.
Like, could this have been an attack? Was it just like, oh, your Windows software had to like do an update? It's just it's just you come back in like 3 days when all the system is updated, that sort of thing. I don't know. It's just questions. I wish we knew.
Yeah.
I really wish we knew, but we don't.
It's something I don't know what smells, but something smells. And I'm hoping we'll get to the bottom of it at
Something
some
smells like
point.
shit. I can smell it. It's
Yeah.
around. I just don't know where.
But speaking of things that smell like shit, should we talk about the potential uh uh corpse of the president?
Yeah, why not? Oh, and basically the coup, done on America. This I mean, I'm starting to think that this might be true, but it's like, yeah, I mean, because for those of you who live under a rock or whatever, um, you know, Joe Biden initially, even after the Trump assassination attempt, he said like, I have no plans of stepping down. I'm going full steam ahead. I'm definitely gonna, I'm definitely going for, I'm definitely going for the repeat. I'm seeking re-election. And then
Yeah.
after he, supposedly gets COVID and runs off to Delaware to go, sleep in his footsie pajamas in his own bed, he puts out a statement saying that, oh, on second thought, I'm old and tired, and I'm not going to seek re-election. And then
Yeah.
it's like, holy shit, really?
It's-
And then a couple days later, it comes out. It's like, oh yeah, not only am I not seeking re-election, but I totally endorse Kamala Harris. You're like, what the hell is going on?
yeah, and this is all done through social media. It's all
Right.
done.
Nothing is like
It's not like
we
where
never
we got.
hear it directly from the horse's mouth. We're getting it by proxy, essentially. I mean, like, if you think that Joe Biden runs his Twitter account, you're an idiot. Or
Yeah.
you think the official White House statement is like actually from Joe Biden? Again, you're an idiot.
Yeah, it's because he hasn't been seen in a while, like at all. And there was he has COVID, and you have I love the media interference. So like, well, so Trump was shot, but like our president has something that could kill him too. It's
Right.
like the same thing. It's like, what? What are you? You really? You don't
Right.
actually
I mean,
believe that? Come on,
unless you're
let's.
finally willing, or unless
You,
you're finally admitting that this was a biological attack from China.
yeah.
That's the only way.
But anyway,
That's the
it's
only way that those two things are correlative.
yeah. But you so president hasn't been seen. His but I'm gonna still run out my term. We're gonna do some great things, blah skababadoo, and the hasn't and then he can't. All his trips have been
Right. All of
canceled.
his
Like
appearances, all his meetings with other like
uh,
world leaders and other politicians. Yeah, his schedule is like kind of like how he called lids on certain days. He basically called a lid on the rest of his term as president.
yeah, and the like even some of the ceremonial stuff that goes on at the White House, Kamala's been doing that. Yeah, there was like was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday where I think it was the our some of our Olympians were over there before they head over to Paris. And yeah, that normally that's something that the president does, like celebrating our athletes or whatever. And that was Kamala Harris doing that, which was very strange. And she is God, the she makes the Joker look sane.
Yeah, I mean, there's if I ever had the if there I was ever given the chance, there's only really one question I'd want to ask her. Like
What's that?
as a journalist, I would ask, what does Montel Williams' dick taste like?
That's right. I forgot that they used to date. What the fuck?
That's the only question That's the only question I'd
Oh
ask.
man.
That's the only question I demand an answer to.
Oh man, that's the. But here, yeah, like you said, this is a coup, and
Well, I mean, not just
for the Democrats out there,
specifically, it's not just like a coup between like political figures, but it's a coup on the Democratic Party at large because they're
it's been like that
right.
for a
But I
long
mean, this
time.
specifically is like they're just automatically pushing Kamala Harris to the fore, not dispensing with the primary process. Which I mean, I know like it's already like I understand that it's like so late in the game that a lot of the states they I think even if all of this hogwash stands and Kamala is pushed as the nominee, in certain states like her name won't even show up on, or if not her name won't show up, but like her name will also Joe Biden's name will also appear on the ballot next to hers. Because certain states like
Yeah, the
it's past like if it's like it's past the primary thing, and so like there can't be another like Democratic nominee. Like Biden's it.
yeah, that's well, I said no Democrat voted
Right,
for
exactly.
Kamala Harris. She was never, and this isn't the same thing as like when like Nixon
Right.
stepped down, right? And Gerald Ford became president. Yes, nobody voted for Gerald Ford in anything. He was just named vice president and all that. And so he became president after that happened. And when it came to the next election, he lost. He that was it Jimmy
Yeah.
Carter beat him, I think.
Carter.
Yeah, that was. And the fact is, like, I mean, this happened back in 2016 where I think the majority of Democrats wanted
Mm-hmm.
Bernie Sanders, but they had Hillary Clinton
Mm-hmm.
thrust upon them, which is, I think, one of the reasons why Trump got voted in, because they're like, no, I don't want this person here. And God help us, I wouldn't want Bernie Sanders as our president, but it's because he's a
Right.
career useless person,
Right. Just to remind you,
too
yeah,
lazy for
right. To
even for a
remind you,
commune.
people, that Bernie Sanders was so fucking lazy that a fucking hippie commune kicked him out. A hippie commune
That's
kicked out Bernie Sanders for being too lazy. Let that sink in there.
and they had uh his honeymoon in the USSR.
Right. Also
Not
correct.
it's uh but anyways, but that's who the Democrats wanted as their nominee. That's who they voted for. And lo and behold, no, Hillary Clinton's going to be our candidate. Oh, fuck you. And the same thing is happening to them now. Uh, there's probably other candidates that the Democrats would want to vote for. They don't want Kamala Harris. Nobody voted for Kamala Harris in 2020. She didn't even win her own state
Yeah, she
in
got
the
she
Democratic
got like what,
primary.
5%?
Yeah, they think she's an idiot, which I'm actually for Democratic voters. I'm like, wow, okay, that's
Yeah.
it. Now all of a sudden people are like, some of the more like radical people I see on social media, it's like, I'm gonna stand by, yeah, I don't know if she would be my nominee, but we can't have Trump in. So Kamala's gonna be our lady. She's gonna bring peace back to the nation. It's like, are you fucking insane? If you think that it was Joe Biden weaponizing the DOJ would be bad, this is also a lady who would keep people longer than their prison sentences for the labor.
Right.
She
Yeah,
she says,
and that's factually true.
you
Look
think
it
that
up. All right, when Kamala Harris, she was um, not a state. She was never a state attorney general, right? She's only district. Oh, no, wait. Was she AG here in California?
I believe that was her capacity
Okay.
for a time.
All
I'd
right, I
have to
forgot because I know she
I
was
had to look
district
that up
attorney
because
for San Francisco. Yeah, I forget if she was,
yeah,
but yeah, but anyway,
something like
she's purposely held back evidence that could have exonerated a person, and it wasn't until the judge found out and so like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? You can't do that. And so she had to
yeah.
disclose, and then so that guy got out of jail, but that bitch held back evidence that could have exonerated him. All
Yeah.
right, and I mean, and
Oh
again,
man, I
let's
would have
not,
like that guy must have gotten
all right, go. Oh
I would have
yeah, hell
sued the
yeah,
state
hell
at
yeah.
that point.
Yeah, and let's not forget, how what her superpower really is. She doing her best work on her back, or knees, given with the case. All right, let's not forget how she really how she really advanced her career, folks. All right, let's not forget. All right, my one question that I would
She
ask Kamala Harris, my one question.
What does Montel Williams's dick
That's all I
taste
want to
like?
know.
I'm sure there's a lot of ladies that would like
All
to
right.
know. He's still a pretty good looking man
Yeah.
too. Like
Yeah, it's like
he's still got it
what they
going
say.
on.
Yeah, black don't crack.
No, it doesn't. But yeah, she the fact that like no one wants this lady.
Yeah, I mean, the
It's
only people that want it's like
and
the
yet
only
now
people
she
that want
now
this woman is fucking stupid people, and I've known some stupid people. I just talked to someone this past weekend who literally said, like, someone I've known for a while, and like who I try and impart as much, like, they come to me for like political stuff, but this one time it's like, oh yeah, I'm voting for Kamala Harris because Trump is so awful. Because Trump is so
oh my
awful.
god.
Literally verbatim is what they said to me. It's like, I'm voting for Kamala Harris because Trump is evil, basically. Trump is Hitler Satan. That's why I'm voting for Kamala Harris. It's like, why?
What's also been funny though is like there's some people who are Democrats who are like they're like, really, Kamala Harris? They found like the one person that is more retarded than Joe Biden, and he has
Mm-hmm.
Alzheimer's, advanced
Right.
Alzheimer's. This is the nominee, really?
Yeah,
It's
and I
like they're not
mean,
they're
yeah,
not
and
happy with it
she
either.
like she's just so uniquely unqualified. She's like not charismatic. She's not personable at all. She's the jangly bracelet lady in HR. No one likes that. No one likes that bitch.
Yeah, and God, her
Dude,
her
well, just
laugh
like
is
well, and just like
nails
the
on a chalkboard to
inappropriateness
me.
of her laugh too. It's because she's nervous. It's like, I mean, I understand it's a nervous laugh, but she laughs at the most inappropriate times. Like that one interview when she's talking about like dead kids. And it's like dead kids.
She's an insane person. Here's why I think she was chosen, because just like Joe Biden,
Yeah.
she's a puppet. They know that they can. They the people who are running this country right now, which is the bureaucrats that are gonna keep pushing forward that same
Mhm.
agenda. They can easily use her.
That is true.
And,
That is true. But also,
and
because what is it? Like, or at least the people that these unelected bureaucrats who are running the country, they know who their target audience is, and it's fucking women, and it's progressives. And so, Kamala Harris, she checks all the boxes. Woman, black, minority. She's the DEI hire of DEI hires.
yeah, she didn't get there by her own merit. She was given the position that she
Mm-hmm.
didn't deserve. Based off of that, literally, and this is verbatim from Joe Biden. I'm choosing Kamala Harris because she's a black woman.
Right? I mean,
That
that
was
was
his
his only
only
criteria.
that was his
Yeah,
only
the only
qualification.
criteria for choosing his running mate was race, was skin color, literally. All right, and you could say like, oh no, yeah,
Race and
you
gender.
could say that, oh no, he probably, yeah, that may be one of the criteria, but I'm sure he took into account like experience and blah blah blah, whatever other legitimate criteria. Like, all right, fine, okay. If a politician came out and said like, I'm only gonna hire a white male, and then would you be willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that they also looked at other qualifications like experience, education, yada yada yada? Probably not. You'd be fixated on the
Yeah.
white male part.
Yep. But yeah, here's what I think the what's going to be the game plan for the Democrats moving forward for the rest of this election cycle. Uh, them putting Harris forward. Oh, you're being so mean. If you don't like her, it's because you hate women or you're a racist. And they're going to use whatever race that she decides is the most convenient at the point, because she's black and
She's
she's
mixed race.
Indian. So there's,
Although like her
yeah.
family did own
So they'll,
slaves.
yes, they did.
Let's not forget
So
that important
you have,
little tidbit, little trivia bit of trivia for
well,
Kamala
and to
Harris.
be honest, that's probably why she kept more black people in jail
Yeah,
longer
right,
than they needed to be, because she liked the cheap labor that
right.
it gave the state. That's that's a slaveholder. Sorry. The uh I think what's gonna happen, we were talking about Biden hasn't seen in a while. I'm hearing a lot of speculation and rumor that he's essentially on his deathbed, and that's why we haven't seen him. Supposedly he's supposed to address the nation tomorrow. I don't think
Right.
that's going to happen. I'll be I'll be shocked. But so what's going to happen? Kamala's going to be the nominee, and Biden's going to die in office. And so what they're going to do, they're going to use that for sympathy. It's like, oh, Donald Trump's so mean. Can he turn down the temperature? Can he, can we let the man, get buried in the ground before we start slinging arrows at each other? Blah blah blah. It's like, no, you know why? Because you didn't give him 5 minutes after he was shot in the head. You know,
Right.
when the man was nearly had his head blown off by Lee Tardy Oswald, which that was the the quartering gave him that name. I was like, that's hilarious. I'm gonna use
What
that.
was it? Oh, Lee
Lee Tardy
Tardy.
Oswald.
That's a good one. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, because imagine, yeah, imagine, if the assassin would have been successful, like how many fucking ooga booga dance parties would be happening in the street, celebrating his death.
Oh, if this the shit that they're pulling in with the Democratic Party, and Trump was killed. Oh, dude, I think that people would be like, I think people would be up in arms.
No,
Like
but I
this
mean like
is.
people on like the more progressive, Trump hater
Oh,
side.
I know. Oh, people
Yeah, they'd
would
be
they would have been
celebrating in the
celebrating.
street,
Oh
like
yeah.
the fat ass black ladies would be out, shaking their fat black asses like there was no tomorrow.
That's true.
It's like, yeah, we won. Yeah,
But
Trump's
man, it's
dead. And, as they're backing their huge hippo asses, in the streets.
doing
Right.
twerks over his grave. But that's gonna be part of the strategy. I guarantee it. That's what's gonna happen. And
Yeah. Well,
honestly, like
another, yeah, there's, Tim Pool's always talking about like Civil War, but I think, I think he was right and he was wrong. He was right about Civil War, but just wrong about like how it was going to go down. I think, it's happening in the Democratic Party right now. I think
oh yeah.
I think there are factions. Um, uh, chief of them being the Clintons and the Obamas, because Obama
Yeah.
reticently endorsed Joe, and then Obama has yet to come out and endorse uh, Harris. Yeah.
Kamala
So
Harris. Yeah.
I think, and I think Hillary Clinton coming out, I forget what it was, but she came out recently and like made a statement, which is like, when Hillary Clinton sees a window, she's going for it. So everyone should be kind of nervous when Hillary Clinton pops up to make a statement.
Yeah. Well, she was like one of the first ones to endorse Harris.
Right, exactly. Well, there you go. That's what it was. Yeah, she came out and endorsed Harris. So that means like, uh, you know, the Clintons have picked a horse, right? But Obama hasn't, meaning Obama wants somebody else.
Yeah.
So
Do you think Hillary's gunning for VP? Because Harris hasn't chosen a running mate.
right, you know, maybe like, I would say that that's more on the outside chances. But in recent years, like the Clintons have become a bit of political poison, or become a bit radioactive, and not too many people are really wanting to chum up, with them or be seen in public with them, really. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she was angling for that. It's like, yeah, I endorsed you, so make me VP. And then for Kamala Harris, I'd immediately grow eyes in the back of my head.
Yeah. Seriously.
um,
Yeah, the most dangerous spot to be is between Hillary Clinton and a chance
President,
at
yeah.
the White House.
But yeah, I don't quite know what the play would be, but what is it? This whole this whole feud between the Clintons and Obama is actually, I got what is it? Sticks Hexenhammer. I've been watching his analysis of the situation, and it does make sense. Like there's he calls it like a bit like palace intrigue. And so right now, like he in his analysis, he thinks that there's a feud between the Obamas and the Clintons. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
So
Ugh. But we'll see what's happening. I mean, there's so much stuff that's coming out. Obviously, that we had the leader of the head of the Secret
right,
Service.
she resigned.
She got fucking demolished. Did you see some of the stuff
Yeah,
in
I
that
thought I
hearing? Oh
particularly
my
saw the
God,
Nancy Mace stuff. That was brutal.
Dude, even
Yeah,
like
I
the
mean,
Democrats like
credit
owned
where
her
credit's
ass.
due. Oh, AOC grilled her ass. AOC,
Yeah,
who doesn't know shit
I was like,
about guns, asked some very good questions about guns.
I was actually really surprised. Like, damn, okay, like you're
Right? Talking about like effective range of
you
like
have
AR, and
5 minutes.
why didn't you consider that as being like the point at which like you started your perimeter of the area? It's like holy shit, you know, props. Yeah,
I was
props.
shocked.
Props,
I
girl,
was
props.
really shocked that something smart
Right?
came out of her head. I was like, damn, dude, like this. I was like, this bitch is gone because even like the Democrats are like just
Mm-hmm.
roasting her ass, and she didn't know
Right.
anything. She is like, well, I don't have that information. It's you're the fucking head of the
Mm-hmm.
Secret Service. Find out. Bring you like this is the whole reason you're here. Bring the information. Find it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
But yeah, she ended up
yeah.
resigning after that.
I mean, what other choice is there? Like either resign or get your ass
Yeah,
canned.
it's
This is like her
yeah. I mean, it's
resigning is
one or the
like
other.
the American form of seppuku. You resigning at least allows you to like hold on to what little honor you had left. Yeah, to maintain
Maintain
dignity.
dignity. I know, like one forgot which representatives like wanted to put her up on perjury charges because she lied about with one of the questions that
Mm-hmm.
she was posed. She lied about it. It's like that's not true. You're lying and you know it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Again, another DEI hire who again was pushing for DEI. Even in the Secret Service. And I mean, I to a degree, I'm gonna cut a little slack here. The Secret Service was original mandate was to go after counterfeiters. Okay, not necessarily security.
Which because they were developed after
Mm-hmm.
the Civil War, and it was a lot of the to the yeah there was with the Confederacy and the Union there was a lot of counterfeit money that was going around at that time, which is why the Secret Service was created, is to help like battle uh, that counterfeit money that was
Floating around, yeah.
going around the country, just to preserve. Yeah,
So
so
yeah, like maybe it was like
it
yeah.
wasn't
So
until what I forget, like if it was Lincoln's assassination or if it was down the road where they also use it as a security detail for presidents. I don't know if it was after uh, not McKinley, I think it was Garfield who was the next one. Though
was that Harding?
it may have been after Garfield or
Okay.
McKinley,
What about Harding?
huh? Oh, because what we've had four assassinations. Was it Harding? I thought it was Garfield that was shot.
I could never keep those.
I believe it was
I
Garfield.
thought it was
Yeah, everyone
yeah. Wasn't Warden?
yeah, so James Garfield was the next president to be shot in 1881. He was assassinated, and then yeah, then it was
Mm-hmm.
McKinley was the next one that was shot, I believe. Um, yeah, he was assassinated. Uh, was it 19? No, was it, I'm drawing a blank. Was it It may have been maybe it was Harding that was shot because right after that was I think you're
Yeah.
right. What was it?
Hmm.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Sorry, 1 second here. Because that's when Calvin Coolidge
Mm-hmm.
stepped in. No, it was McKinley. I remember because Teddy Roosevelt ended up becoming president, and it was right around the time that like it was around the time the World's Fair, the X-ray machine had come out, and had they utilized the X-ray machine, they could have saved the
Mm,
president's life. And yeah, and then after that it was JFK that was
mm,
assassinated. But um, it was either after Garfield or McKinley that the Secret Service was given additional duties as security details
mm,
for the president, something along those lines. Because obviously that was in place when JFK was president. They had Secret Service
mm.
protection, stuff like that. But
Yeah, but I mean,
yeah, I believe it
yeah,
was
but
like
even like
around.
JFK, like that's screwy too because on the car, like yeah, they didn't necessarily want the top to be down, but there was also like the runners, on the back of the limousine where the Secret Service was supposed to be hanging off of, and that would have obstructed the shot. You know, uh, so
Yeah,
Secret Service failures are really nothing new,
no,
but
uh, I think there's a lot of good agents,
sure.
but it's when you start fucking around at the top and you hire people like this who I think like her that lady's background is really suspect too, and she was
Yeah,
hired because she was
she was
a
with the Secret
woman.
Service. I think she was with the Secret Service. Then she left to the private sector to do security for PepsiCo or whatever. And then she came back and then was advanced on the recommendation of I believe it was Jill Biden, who I
Of
think at the
course.
time was she was second lady. She wasn't first lady yet, but yeah, second lady Jill when Joe Biden
Yeah.
was vice president. It was it was her role as second lady that and she put forward Cheadle's name for a role in the Secret Service or whatever.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So
but yeah, that she had to go. I mean, if you can't even have the common sense of getting agents, as close to the same height as Donald Trump as possible, then you're an idiot. Yet, if you see that shot, there was freaking women there that were at his chest, like head was at his chest. Like, what are you saying that you're gonna use? You wanted the women there for their heads to be like human bulletproof vests, so like the bullet will go into their heads and not into the president's chest.
I mean, geez, at the very least, like she should have just like jumped up on his shoulders and like hugged him
Right?
for dear
Yeah, like
life.
yeah, backpacked him, yeah, or something. Yeah, one backpack him in the back, one backpack him in the front. Human bulletproof vest.
Seriously. Oh man.
Yeah, and it's like, oh well,
Uh,
like they were at
but
least
yeah,
putting their
that's
hands up in his face. It's like I don't know what's that
what's
gonna
that
do? The
gonna
bullet's
do?
gonna go
Like,
straight through that woman's hand and into Trump's face.
Jesus Christ, ridiculous.
Where?
But yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
been wild, man. Uh, I'm sure like there's. I mean, we didn't get into the stuff into the day. There's a lot more information coming out about the shooter and what was
Yeah.
going on. A lot. The narrative about the guy is all wrong.
I don't even
It's
believe
very.
this stuff that's coming out about him. Or at least I take what is said about him with like a boulder sized grain of sand. Salt.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of weird stuff like going on with that maybe we'll dive into that next week because I think it's at least interesting to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't really yeah, I don't even trust the stuff that's coming out about him right now. But I mean, once more stuff comes out, I'd be happy to like parse through it and like see what's what.
Sounds good. All right, should we get to the fun
Yeah.
part of the show? Yeah, now that we've swam through all the the Seine River of shit.
Indeed. All right, let's get into the movie review. And to remind you all, tonight the movie is Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, directed by Park Chan-wook Park, starring you might remember uh, uh, Ho Sun Kang from the dad in Parasite. Let me hit everyone with the synopsis and we'll get going. All right. A deaf mute Ryu has been fired from his job in Seoul, South Korea. In a job in a Seoul, South Korea factory. And the timing couldn't be worse. His sister is suffering from kidney failure trouble, and she needs a transplant that Ryu himself can't provide. And Ryu's girlfriend then kidnapped the daughter of wealthy tycoon Dongjin Park to raise the money, but an unexpected disaster strikes, and Park launches a bloody request for vengeance that leaves many dead and puts Ryu's life in danger. This movie from released in 2005.
2002 actually. This
I'm
is
sorry. The
because this is the
U.S.
first.
release was in 2005.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
when it was released here. It was 2005. Wow, it was so well, yeah, initially it was
Mm.
2002.
Well, in Korea it's probably
The
2002.
had you
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
previous to this, I've never seen this movie.
This
It's my
is your
first
first
viewing.
viewing of Sympathy
Mm-hmm.
for Mr. Vengeance. It's yeah, we'll get into it. What's the Korean title? Like
Oh.
what's how do you pronounce the Korean title of this?
Uh, 북수는 나위것.
It's like Vengeance is Mine or something like that. Is that the
Let me just do. Yeah, yeah. Revenge is mine, or vengeance is mine.
okay. But yeah, this film is filled with so many tragic figures. Because we start off with our character who is
Mm-hmm.
he's a deaf mute, um, who's caring for his sister who needs a kidney transplant. Uh, what's also really fucked up about like there's because the sister and the brother live together, and she is she has these fits where she's groaning in pain, and the guys that live next door to them are thinking that they're
Uh-huh.
having sex and they're jerking off in the next room, which is what the
Yeah,
fuck? Those guys
that was
were weird.
morbid,
That was
dude.
disgusting.
Like
What the fuck?
when I hear stories of guys who who will beat off to the same like porno and like be in the same room with other guys, like
Why?
how? What? How do you like? How are you able to maintain your erection like in the presence of other men?
Dude, it's fucking weird. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
no.
well, particularly
Those are
in the scene you're talking about, where like they're like they're all pressed with their ears against the wall, and they're like sitting right next to each other, or like well, at least from their perspective, like right in front of the other. And then one guy like tapes
yeah.
a porno mag on the back of the head of the guy in front of him. It's just
Dude. I'm telling you, this director is
yeah.
wild, man. That he he puts some wild shit on the screen, and how does he come up with this stuff? This is crazy. Anyway, so he's our main character. He is a deaf mute, works at a some sort of
he's some sort of manufacturing thing.
factory.
I think it's marbles. But yeah,
Yeah,
he's deaf mute, so like like all the other coworkers, they have to wear ear protection. He doesn't. Yeah, his sister, she desperately needs a kidney transplant, but um, he can't afford it. So, but then he still tries to get his sister's name on the list. Um, but it's going to take time before a kidney becomes available. Which again, then first like one of the first, outside of the sister being sick, he decides to go. There's like some kind of less than savory sorts who are putting up advertisements for like get yeah
black market organs.
And so like he goes to meet one of them, and
and
it's like saying, oh, since you don't have the cash, we need a kidney from you before we give you another kidney. And so he does this, and he gets one of his kidneys removed, but it's like SOL, like they run off with his kidney, probably to
this is also after he
right.
lost his job. Yeah, because
Right,
he gets fired.
that's the other tragic part, because he loses his job. But then after the whole fiasco with the black market organ harvesters, he finds out that a kidney's been made available, but then it costs like the $10,000 that he actually gave to the organ harvesters, as like a good faith payment. And so he's like really SOL. And then
yeah,
it's just that kind of spirals out of control from there. It's because then his like leftist anarchist girlfriend says like, oh, you should go kidnap a kid because like the parents are rich, so what the fuck do they care?
oh yeah, like your boss, it's who
Mm-hmm.
fired you. And she's a North Korean sympathizer. Is that what I understand from her character?
Something like that, yeah. Or she's just one of those like radical, like left leaning, like workers' revolution types.
Yeah, she. So, and what's even crazier, so they end up creating this plan to kidnap the daughter of his boss. And when they're kind of scouting things out, they come across this confrontation of another worker who was fired from well, I guess so. His boss and another kind
another
of head
CEO of a
honcho at
different
another company
are like are having the weekend together, like with their kids, and they return home, and then the other CEO, one of his employees, like who just got fired, he shows up in front of his house, and it's like and begins to slice himself open with a box cutter.
he's like, yeah, he strips himself down and like it's like, "Rah!" And like he starts slicing the shit out of his chest. And at first I was like, what the hell is he doing? Like, I was like,
Right.
nothing's happening. And then they do a close-in shot. It's like, oh, he cut the shit out of himself. Oh my god. And we'll come back to him later because what happens to him is a tragedy. But and that's when Rue decides like, I can't kidnap the daughter of my boss. Like, I'm one of the first people that they're gonna come look to. And they do kind of like a just like switcheroo strangers on a train thing. It's like, well, now I'll kidnap this guy's daughter instead. And it's like he's an asshole, so why not?
Right.
I also thought it was interesting how they when Rue is talking, he's obviously doing like sign language or whatever, but they would almost do these silent film style dialogue cards for him, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah. And what is it? But then they concoct a plan where they make it like to spare the child of like the trauma, they make it seem like she's not kidnapped, or she's she's being looked after by a newly hired like nanny or something. Um,
That's the thing I couldn't figure out. How did they lure the girl
mm,
to that park? Was she did the girlfriend end up becoming the uh like the caretaker for the girl, and they just like
maybe
how do you
no
what happened
maybe
there? Because it doesn't really show exactly
right.
how
Yeah,
they got
I
the
have
girl
to
to the
watch that
park.
again too, but I think the girlfriend, she's not necessarily, she may not have done like the parasite thing where she goes and gets hired by the dad, but maybe she just like showed up at the school
Right.
or daycare and said and posed as like, oh, I'm the new nanny caregiver. And
That
yeah,
must be what it is. Because otherwise then it implicates
exactly,
her
exactly,
too.
because then they'd be like, oh, like we hired this new nanny and then now the kids disappear. It's like, oh, maybe we should look into her. So yeah, she probably, yeah, it's more likely
Yeah,
she
exactly.
posed as the new nanny or whatever at the kids' school and like, oh yeah, I'm here to pick up the little girl, so I'm the new nanny.
Yeah, and they bring her back to
Mm,
Rue's house, like with
right.
him and his sister, with his
Mm,
sister being there, and his sister is none
right,
the
and
wiser
she's
as to
told
what's
that
going
the
on.
boss is like giving him more responsibilities and offering him like special training.
And so she's yeah, and
Yeah,
lying his ass off.
and like as and I think it was like, oh, he's so grateful to him that he's offered to like watch his daughter for like the weekend or whatever, like while the boss goes on like a business trip.
Yeah, and so he sets up like the ransom note. He takes a picture to make it look like
Mm-hmm.
she's in distress. Uh, Sends back the like her
Right.
doll, I think, and
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of stuff from there. And so now he's like, oh shit, like my daughter's kidnapped, and the he doesn't get the police involved, so he gets the money. He's told to bring the money
Yeah, like an
to
abandoned park or something.
abandoned park, yeah, and he ends up the way that like they're like texting him like instructions. That I thought that was kind of cool. There's like a little the like cat and mouse moment because you had the girlfriend who is, I think, were they using the daughter's phone to like text him or
Yeah,
something like
probably, because
that?
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm
The
sure they weren't.
instructions.
Yeah, because that otherwise, they be able to trace uh, their phones back to them in the investigation. So yeah, so they're
Right,
probably
right.
using the daughter's phone, and
So,
um, or even just like like a burner phone or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
something along those lines. But I thought that leading up to that was pretty cool. And the they end up getting him to that abandoned park, putting a bag over his head and tying him to the pole. And during while this is happening, the the sister is doing laundry and she discovers in the back pocket of her brother's pants is his pink slip, essentially, that he got fired. And she calls the company and realizes that he's been gone for
Right.
a
Yeah, he was
while.
fired. Yeah.
I think he got some sort of severance. I think he got some
Right.
sort of severance, but and which is like why he's been kind of able to keep things going for a bit. And she's heartbroken by this, and she ends up like writing a note. Uh, and we have Rue, he's gotten the money. He's very like excited because now like his sister can get the kidney transplant she needs. She he like the little girl's watching cartoons, and you're thinking like you hear water in the background. So you're thinking, oh, like the sister's taking like a shower or something like that. And um there's this like cute moment with the with the little girl and him, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, she the little girl, she ends up like all of a sudden handing him a note, and he's like, oh, what's this? And it's the sister is like wrote a
Yeah. Well,
suicide
yeah.
note. It's like, I don't
Yeah, she,
want to like
yeah,
return the
she
girl
thought, yeah,
immediately,
basically.
and I don't want to be a burden anymore. And he runs into the bathroom, and she slit her wrists, and oh my god, I was like, whoa, oh god. So not only did this man lose his kidney, but now he's trying to get his sister a kidney. He's done all this stuff to help provide to get her a transplant, but now she's killed herself. And I mean, those two were super close,
Mhm.
obviously. Um, this is where we have the situation where uh, he ends up taking her to the to like this river gore. Like, what is that? It's like not like a
Yeah,
quarry, but it's some
it's a
sort of
river. It's a or a stream where where they grew up, and
yeah.
I was like, the last time, like, it's a place of good memories, and so he buries her under some rocks by the riverbank. But in his while he's doing that in his grief, like, he's not paying attention to the little girl, and the little girl uh, falls into the river, essentially drowns, and because, like, because he's deaf, he
Well,
can't hear her, like, splashing about, screaming for him to get his attention.
yeah. Well, and what wakes her up because she was sleeping in the car, and there's the guy who it's like wandering around the river. I think what he has like cerebral palsy or
Something, yeah,
something like that. He has some sort
yeah,
of
some sort of, like,
handicap, and
neurogenic, like, disorder.
and uh, there's something because at first we're thinking like this guy is doing something trying to be like nefarious, but like he's actually really trying to, I think, trying to
Mm,
help the girl. Um, and yeah, and he even tries to get the attention of
mm,
Rue as well. Like, hey, like, you're there's something going on over there, and yeah, and Rue is, yeah, like I said, he's deaf. He can't hear her splashing around, crying for him, and she ends up drowning in the river. And that's this is when like the craziness of the film takes place
yeah,
because
as bad as everything up to this point
uh
is, with, like, the sister dying and then the little girl dying, but this is where it really starts. This is where it goes full tilt.
yeah, and this is where we start to like our, I think, what is it, Mr. uh
Park,
what's his, yeah, I'm trying to think his what's his character's name,
uh, Tongjin.
Song Kang Ho is yeah, Dongjin is the his name. He ends up talking with the detective, um and he ends up hiring the detectives. Like, I need you to find out how he essentially sells his company, sells everything he owns, gives him the money. It's like, find out what happened, and hell, I need to
Mm,
kill this man. uh and pretty much like, because that particular detective is also having uh problems with money and getting money for I think like his wife needs some sort of
mm,
surgery or whatever. So he ends up paying for that surgery. It's like, and gives him a lot of money. Hey, just, I'm hiring you. Help me find this bastard, and I'll take care of it from there. And that's where like we discover they end up going to the guy who sliced his trying to figure out like who would even do this to me? Who's my enemy? Well, let's start with the employee who sliced the shit out of himself. And it's okay, well, we're gonna go there to his place, and it's like, oh man, it smells. And essentially he killed his entire family with rat poison and committed suicide himself because he was living in
Yeah,
this
squalor essentially.
squalor. It's I was like, oh my gosh, but like it turns out that the little boy
Yeah,
is
it's
clinging to life. It's like, well, let's get him to
yeah.
the
The kid's
hospital.
son is like barely holding on, and they run him to the hospital. They immediately get him, get him treated and everything. And what is it? Mr. Park, he inadvertently or accidentally starts posing as the kid's dad.
Yeah, so it's just so we will get updates about that kid as we go along, and they start looking into um a few things, and I forget how exactly they figure out that like this that Rue was involved, but they do. They figure out like they when he's like looking at the pictures, he's like, wait a second, this is the wall, and this is where they all of a sudden all like moved out, and they I forget like they yeah, I forget exactly how they figure out how he's involved. But anyways, like, once he figures out that he's the one involved, then it things kind of take off. We also have after his sister dies, Rue ends up trying finding the black market organ guys, and he ends up killing them all. Which that was a
Yeah,
wild scene.
yeah, because he the
Uh,
girlfriend helps
yeah,
him
because
and
it
poses as someone who wants to
right.
sell her kidney or whatever. Uh,
Mm,
and yeah, he like it's crazy because it's crazy how resourceful like people are. You when you think like if only they applied themselves more, they might actually be legitimately successful. But because
right.
because they're organ harvesters, buying like large quantities of dry ice would bring attention to them. But what a way that they circumvent that is they'd go to like Baskin Robbins and order an ice cream cake, and then the worker would ask them, "Oh, are you going somewhere far away?" Because if they're traveling somewhere far away, then they'll put a dry ice, in the cake carrier so that the cake could remain frozen on their way to their destination. Um, and so this
Right.
guy goes to Baskin Robbins and orders an ice cream cake and gets the dry ice. And immediately as he leaves the establishment, he just like takes the cake and flings it on the street. Uh, you
Yeah.
know,
It's like, yeah, that's it.
yeah,
That's ingenious. That's so smart. Like, God, you could apply these guys could apply themselves, but like they're
yeah,
pieces of shit. Yeah, so he ends up like just fucking that I think that's how they figure out like that there's something going on because it was the after Rue ends up taking his vengeance out on the organ harvesters, uh, the detective catches the case, and it's like, damn, dude, uh they find like the flyer from like the girlfriend. They find like her connection to like Rue and all this, and that's kind of how that gets going and how they discover him. So, but we got our vengeance on the organ dealers, and they're like doing some really fucked up things to the
well, at least to the women,
like the
because I'm pretty sure they weren't. I'm pretty sure
yeah.
they weren't. Diddling Rue when he was knocked out for his kidney.
Oh, dude, wouldn't
Oh
that
my
be
gosh!
fucked up too? Like just like another thing to pile on
Right.
top of this shit. Like it doesn't
Mhm.
matter, man or woman. They just like
Well,
they
I
have their
mean,
way with him.
they are
Oh,
kind of portrayed as kind of like hillbilly trash, or like
yeah,
you could kind of
that is
imagine like
true.
them like it doesn't matter. They're like they want to get their rocks off, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, like the latest person to come in and like try to sell their organs was a woman, and like as she's knocked out, because it's an old woman who's like who's addicted to drugs or whatever, and then she has two sons that help her in this endeavor. And when the girl was knocked out, the sons would have their way with her. Uh, you know,
Oh,
yeah, that was hard to
gross.
watch. Um, but it,
Oh, and like when like he stabbed the dude with like the
yeah,
ice pick in the neck
hmm
or a screwdriver, and like he shit himself. Oh my God, that
yeah,
was
that was brutal.
disgusting.
But yeah, but then when he starts like beating the shit out of everyone in that room, you do kind of feel like, oh, they deserve that shit.
Oh, of course, it was.
Yeah,
It's just a brutal scene, but it's great. Um, but yeah, so that's how he gets on the radar, and yeah, um, Dongjin ends up going after the
hmm
girlfriend and hooks her up to a car battery and essentially electrocutes her to death.
yeah. He goes like Rambo. He goes Rambo 2 on her.
Oh yeah, yeah. So in like the plot summary on like Wikipedia, it said that the girl had hired she got some delivery. Looked like
Yeah, yeah,
jjajangmyeon that
yeah.
she bought.
That's the common takeout order.
Yeah, but it says in the Wikipedia plot that like Dongjin ended up killing the delivery person too. It's like, no, I don't remember
Well,
seeing
no,
that at
I
all.
think he
Like, I
did.
don't think
No,
he
no, I
killed the
think he
delivery
did
guy.
because I distinctly remember another male body being carted out by the police.
Does he? Oh, I
Yeah,
completely missed this.
yeah, because you just think like, oh, he just intercepted the order and ate the food while he was casually like torturing, the girlfriend. But no, I think he killed.
No, I thought like, oh man, I didn't even notice that. So okay, I guess he did
Yeah,
kill the
because I mean,
delivery
I'm
person
sure
then.
like he came to the door and like saw what was going on, and it's like, I'm sure it wasn't his initial plan to kill the delivery guy, but it's like he saw too much, and so it's like, well, shit, now I have to kill you too.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
watch that scene again just because I didn't even think I just thought he
yeah,
dropped shit off and
that's what initially I thought too, but
left.
then when the police come to the scene of the girlfriend's death, like you see another man being carted off, and I'm just like, oh shit, he killed that delivery
Yeah.
guy.
And the the girlfriend she's like, hey, it was a horrible, like, no one wanted to kill your girl. Like, that was never it was a horrible accident that happened. But don't kill me. I'm part of this group, and
Yeah,
if
it's like,
I
like
die,
try like, oh
uh,
yeah, I'm
they'll come
part of
after
this
you.
group. Like actually, we're terrorists. And I sent them your picture, and if something happens to me, they're gonna come and kill you. Kind of, and you're thinking at this point, it's like, oh, this is a bluff. Just like,
Of course because during the investigation, the police are like, yeah, she's supposedly part of this organization. There's only one
the
person.
only one
It's
person,
her.
only one
It's like,
member,
okay,
her.
yeah, so it's like, okay, it's obviously
hmm
just a bluff. And so now he finds Rue. He's kind of there's like this weird like cat and mouse thing between them where they're staking
Right.
each other out. And no, because he Rue finds out that his girlfriend has been killed. He went to go
Right.
back to go see her, and there's all this police activity. He's like, "Oh, what the fuck is going on here?" And he's in the elevator scene, like where he ends up discovering that it's her body, and it was they had her like I guess they had the
Yeah.
gurney
Upright. Yeah.
like
hmm
standing straight up. Okay, yeah, I was like that's interesting because he ends up like
Right.
holding her hand,
Yeah. I don't know if that's just for the
and
shot
then
or like that's just more practical because the elevator didn't look that that
I think
well.
it's a
Yeah.
little bit of
I don't
both.
think the elevator was that wide. And so to accommodate multiple people in it, like they had to stand up the gurney.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that makes sense, but I think it's a little bit of
Yeah,
it
yeah.
gets a great shot, and
It's a framing device. Yeah, I get it.
yeah, but you after that it's this cat and mouse between Dongjin and Rue. They're because they know they're on each other. Both of them are on each other's radar. It's like, oh shit, this he killed her, so I got to be careful. And Dongjin ends up kind of getting one over on him because he knows where he's living now, and so um, Rue thinks he's gonna be somewhere else, and he was kind of like, I think he was waiting for that guy to
Right,
come
not knowing
home,
that he sold
and
his,
he
yeah, not
was
knowing
staking
that he
out.
sold everything off, and
Yeah, and says, okay, I guess it's safe to go
mm,
back home, and that's exactly where Dongjin is. He's waiting for him at his place, and he had broken in, and the door is metal, so he ended up hooking up a car battery so that when uh or something that like is gonna electrocute him
yeah,
when
reached the,
he
yeah.
goes to unlock the door. Yeah, and kind of knocking him out, and that's where he brings him back to the river. And he discovers the body of
Mm-hmm.
like his sister. It's like, oh, and drags his ass into the river. And oh, this scene was so horrific. It's obviously Rue is he's like, I know that what you did was not on purpose, but you have to you have to die anyways. I'm sorry. And he brings him out to like the middle of the river
It ties him up,
and
and yeah,
cuts open his cuts open his Achilles tendons, and they show that. Oh my
yeah,
god, it's so gruesome looking. It's I mean, like his feet look like they're about
yeah,
ready to fall off. Like that's how like deep he cuts in there. And he ends up drowning, and he cuts up his body and is gonna bury it. Just as he's getting ready to bury him, all of a
yeah. This car
sudden,
shows up, and
this
three
car starts.
guys or four guys come out, and like one of them is like holding a picture and like looking at him, and then they start, beating the shit out of him.
Yeah, they're like stabbing him, and then I mean he's bleeding out, and the when he's like leaning up against his car, the one dude takes like
Mm.
this letter and runs him through with
Yeah,
like a
in the heart.
bayonet knife into his chest, like
Mm.
with that note. And I was like, holy shit, that girl was
Yeah,
not
yeah.
bluffing.
The
She did have
payoff, the
people.
payoff of that girl saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm part of this terrorist group, and I sent them your picture, and if anything happens to me, you're dead." And that that was, and we thought that's like
Yeah.
a bluff that she was trying to pull, but it's like the one of the best payoffs in cinema.
Oh my gosh. And this horrible thing, like all the characters that we had been following,
Yeah.
they're all dead. They all end up dying. It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy, dude.
Except for
But yeah,
the I know he's not mentally, but the retard guy.
oh
Yeah.
the cerebral palsy guy, yeah.
Yeah, when actually
Yeah, he
he was the
survives.
one that kind of like broke the case for Tongjin, because he was a witness. I mean, though he had like cerebral palsy or whatever, or some sort of neurologic uh, deterioration, like he was still all mentally there, so he was able to give him like details, and oh, this is the license plate of the car, and the color, and yada yada
Yeah,
yada.
and he also had the necklace that
Right.
they had made for the girl,
Yeah,
and
that was a clue,
that's kind
letting
of like
Tongjin
what
know that he was on the right track.
yeah. But man, it's a wild
Mm-hmm.
ass movie. But yeah, like, do you want to get our ratings for the film?
Sure, sure, sure.
What you hadn't
Um,
seen it before, Andy. So what are you thinking about Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance?
Yeah, I enjoy this movie. Uh, I thought I thought this was really well done. I thought the characters were very interesting. I thought the story was compelling. I couldn't help but compare this to that movie we did a while back, another Korean movie. Um, what's that one? It was also a revenge tale, and it had
I saw the
yeah,
devil.
yeah, the guy, yeah, the actor that was in Old Boy and Lady
Yeah,
Vengeance. It kind of it
yeah, yeah, yeah,
reminded me of
yeah.
that. It just reminded it just kind of reaffirmed my people's obsession with vengeance. Um,
Yeah, it's it makes me wonder if in this case with Vengeance, like was this like the right way to go, or it's the whole film is filled with tragedy and like revenge, and the revenge maybe wasn't the best course of action. Maybe just having a maybe slight forgiveness and just kind of letting things go.
yeah, or I mean, try to have or have it more contained because uh, was it Tongjin, like he was like going after everybody, like even like his descent into cold hardness like went as far, like as soon as the worker's son like passed away, you know, that could have, it could have been his chance to, right some wrongs or do better, and like maybe like even like adopt this kid and like or taking or treat this kid like his. I
Well, that
know,
kid
but I'm saying
dies.
like
That Yeah, that kid
right,
ends
and
up
then
dying
I
though.
know
Yeah,
like the prognosis isn't good, but like with his resources, he could have made sure that that kid lived, and then made sure that that kid was taken care of, and that could have been his second chance.
yeah,
But as soon as
yeah. I
that kid
agree.
died, the hospital calls him like, oh yeah, we're looking for the father of such and such. It's like, oh, you have the wrong number. Click. It's just him like kind of hardening his heart, essentially.
Yeah, that was I think that was the death knell, and like he's like, okay,
Yeah,
well, I'm
he's
just
like
gonna
he's
go
fully,
forward
yeah.
with what
At
I
that
gotta
point,
go
he's
forward
fully on the
with.
path of vengeance. Like he doesn't care about anything or anybody.
Yeah.
He just wants to avenge his daughter. And I'm kind of like I saw the devil. Is just like if he had just killed him like right then and there, instead of playing that cat and mouse game, like it would have been done. And the sister of his girlfriend wouldn't have died. The father of his girlfriend wouldn't have died. That poor nurse. I mean, I know I'm talking about another movie, but that poor nurse wouldn't have gotten sexually assaulted. Uh,
Yeah,
it's just like if he could have stopped all of that stuff from happening, um, if he just taken had his vengeance right then and there. So similarly,
yeah,
if Tongjun only kept his vengeance um, focused solely on Ryu, it might have ended up differently, or like it might have, in a lot of ways. I mean, at least in this movie, Koreans are portrayed a lot like Italians, like vendettas. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's,
So
I've never thought of it like that, but
yeah,
I think you're right, dude. Like I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
vendetta. But all that to
Yeah,
say is, yeah, my rating is I'm gonna give this movie a 4.
you gotta give it a 4. Do you like it more than Lady Vengeance?
I did. It seemed a lot more focused. Although there are things I did enjoy about Lady Vengeance, but I just think the story is a lot tighter. Uh, with sympathy for Mr. Vengeance.
Yeah, that's I think yeah, I was thinking about that too because I ended up as I was learning a little bit more about Lady Vengeance, watching it
Mm-hmm.
for like last week. I was like, oh, that's interesting, and there's lots of things I do like about the film, but you're right. The reason why I end up liking this more is because it is a little bit of a tighter script, and like I said, it's more focused. It doesn't have a lot of the I guess I think Park Chan-wook in that one was doing much more of like an artistic
Right.
flair,
And
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 whereas we
yeah,
could
and it
have
was
had a
more, and it
more
was a bit of more, and Lady Vengeance was more of like an Odyssey tale where, um, she's going to, she's going back and she's going forward, and like, she's going to like these different points, kind of like in the Odyssey where, Odysseus, he's like constantly going to these places, and he's like, and he's held up for another like 10 years, because he's going to doing all these like kind of like side quest things.
yeah, exactly, yeah, that uh so yeah, I end up liking this movie more because of that. Now I think you put words to what I couldn't quite figure out why I like it more, but that's
Mm.
exactly why. And I'm with you, man. I'm gonna give this one a 4 as well. I think it's a lot of a like a
Mm.
dark comedy a little bit. It has comedic elements. It's this Greek tragedy of a movie. It's because especially after you've watched it, you kind of already kind of know like something bad is gonna happen. But once you've seen the film and you watch it again, it's just like this build up to this ultimate moment, like of the if you just did something that don't do it, don't go there. You're gonna, but that's the train of like that's what's gonna happen, and it's
Mm-hmm.
unavoidable. And it's sometimes it's fun to watch stuff like that, just the train wreck that's about to happen, and that certainly happens in this film, and it's great, very well acted. Obviously the Mr. Vengeance, Dongjin, uh, super famous Korean actor, obviously made really famous
Right.
by
Or at least
Parasite,
like
uh,
to the
at least
broader
as far
global
as like in the
market.
West. Yeah, obviously for like the West, he became super popular through Parasite, but that in Korea, this he's one of
Yeah.
the big stars.
He's very well regarded.
He's worked with yeah. Yeah, and he's worked with this director before. He did Joint Security Area, which is a like little murder mystery that I definitely want us to cover at
Yeah,
some point.
I think I've seen this movie.
Um,
Yeah, Joint Security Area.
I've never seen it, so I've been like I've been dying to watch it.
Yeah, I want to watch it.
I also want to watch more of this
Mm.
director's work because he's something else, man. He's got a lot. But yeah, that's gonna be my rating 4. We both give it a 4, so that's pretty cool.
All right.
And we got the culmination or the best of the Vengeance trilogy coming up next week
Yeah.
with Old Boy.
Yeah. So something to look forward to. Yeah, that's our review of
Yeah,
Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. Both Robert and I give this a 4. Definitely a movie to check out. I think I think you'll be entertained as well, and I think that and I think and I think this is a director to get become familiar with, um, and I think I will too. Just because just because since I've seen now I've seen maybe 4 of his movies. Since you mentioned Joint Security Area, which I think I've seen. I have to look it up to make sure that it's the right movie. But that's also a really good movie if I'm remembering it correctly. Uh,
he's such an interesting director, and I don't know how well regarded he is
mm,
in Korea, but like he's always doing he's kind of like the Darren Aronofsky of Korea in my like with what he's some of the subjects that he's handling. Um, Definitely has a interesting
mm,
artistic flair. He really pushes the envelope in a lot of ways.
right. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's our review, which will bring us to the end of our stream tonight. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time. I know Rob always has a good time. Yeah, and my
Always, brother.
computer did not crash, so huzzah! Yeah, yeah, we made it
Hey,
through. We
all
made it
right.
all the way through. Um, Yeah, if you had a good time, don't forget to check out the library of other content that we have. Circular Jerk's main podcast, old episodes of Nocturnal Transmissions, of course, with the movie review, and Rob's gaming show, Up by Up Down. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media accounts, Twitter and Letterboxd at PodcastCOJ, and Instagram at Circular Jerk's Podcast. And with all that, thank you for joining us tonight. Come back next week, and we'll do it all over again.